It's been quite a few years since I last drove a Mazda3 hatchback, and in those years a lot has changed. For a start, Ford and Mazda, who used to be bedfellows, have split, and as a result, in the South African context, there is now an independent Mazda South Africa. The cars have also changed during that period, and for the better. This is the Mazda3 2-litre Astina, and if it drives as well as it looks, we are in for a treat. This Astina is the flagship of the Mazda3 hatchback range, and it competes in the highly contested C segment, where it's up against the likes of the VW Golf, Honda Civic, Peugeot 308 and Kia Cerato. It certainly looks the upmarket part. Comprehensive colour coding, alloy wheels and just a hint of chrome detailing around the glass areas and grille exude an air of quiet sophistication. The drivetrain combines a 2-litre engine with an automatic transmission, but there isn't a manual gearbox version. More about that later. However, there's no denying that this is a handsome, head-turning hatch. With so many models competing in the C-segment hatchback market, it really takes some effort to stand out from the crowd. The Mazda does that with its very distinctive front end, which leaves no doubt about its identity, and also a fairly organic silhouette, which is a little bit unusual in a market which likes a more chunky, more angular and more athletic look. Of course, Mazda will tell you that the shape of the new 3 stems from its coded design approach, which tries to capture the dynamic essence of the car in the streamlined flowing lines, low stance and wide tracks. The front end is expressive, the flanks and haunches trim, and the rear tidily executed, complete with integrated spoiler. It's not overtly sporty, but then the Mazda isn't a hot hatch. Instead, its focus is on style and sophistication, with finely sculpted details and a strong sense of visual cohesion. Even though this is the top model, the interior still exceeds expectations. Highlights include the leather upholstery, the upmarket execution including the soft touch surfaces, and the extended list of standard specification. Of particular note is the full color touchscreen display, which dominates the center stack. Indeed, the cabin is a feel-good place that mirrors the exterior's attention to detail. Ergonomics are high on the list, including a heads-up display, while the screen-based infotainment system works a treat. A rotary controller provides a more intuitive operating interface than the touchscreen, however. Accommodation is comfortable and spacious even at the rear, but at 308 litres, the boot is on the small side. The Astina is the flagship of the Mazda3 hatchback range, and as such it also gets the most powerful engine. This is a 4-cylinder 2-litre unit producing 121 kilowatts at 6,000 RPM. The torque peak 210 Newton meters, but only reached at 4,000 RPM, which suggests a measure of peakiness. That's borne out in practice by the quick realization that you need to use the full rev band of the engine to make the most of its potential. It's a smooth spinner that doesn't mind being chased towards the red and thus encourages driver engagement. But the thorn in the Astina's side is the auto gearbox. A tall 6th gear may be okay for cruising, but it is of little use in day-to-day commuting. It's a pity that this car comes with an automatic gearbox, only because you do get the feeling that somehow it blunts the performance, the 2-litre engine, lively enough. But I suppose the automatic gearbox is more focused on refinement than actual response. No official performance figures offered by Mazda, but we reckon an auto-100 time around 10 seconds, top speed certainly in the 210 to 215 km/h bracket. So certainly plenty of performance on offer. But we think that because the engine is a little bit on the peaky side, a manual gearbox would just be a better match. In terms of ride and handling, the car very smooth, very composed, not soggy at all, and pretty responsive around corners, which means that it is quite an entertaining drive. The steering, not as light and over-assisted as some of the electric power steerings we've experienced up to now, but it could do with a little bit more in terms of feedback. However, it is fair to say that Mazda's positioning of the Astina clearly emphasizes upmarket sophistication rather than dynamic performance, and in that sense, the hatchback impresses with its refined and effortless progress. But the balance of the chassis, the wieldy handling and that free-revving engine all suggest that there's the underlying potential for something a little more thrilling and engaging. This Mazda3 proves that the brand can build distinctive cars that exceed expectations at almost every level. It's It's certainly a very handsome car to look at. The interior is superbly kitted out and it drives pretty well too. The 3 is part of a current portfolio that's impressive enough, but with a whole raft of new models still on the way, it seems like Mazda is back with a vengeance. An eager, free-revving 2-litre engine, a well-balanced chassis and an overall execution focused on refinement and sophistication are the highlights of this range-topping Mazda 3 hatchback. High spec levels and a luxurious execution add further appeal, but the auto gearbox robs the car of some of its driver engagement.